Okay.
Just press OK.
Yep, good.
Yeah, all
All right.
done.
We are off and running. So, yeah, David, man, I appreciate you making time for a little chat this morning.
Yeah, I'm excited. Good morning to you again. So,
Yeah. Where are you coming from? What state do you live in?
I live in Colorado.
Okay. All right. So it's 9 a.m. for me. What time is it for you? Is it 11?
10.
10,
10.
10. Okay, cool. Here in Washington State, we had a nice couple of days and now it's back to rain. What is it like where you live?
I think whatever is coming from over there is about to head our way, but probably tomorrow is what it sounds like. So, we've had almost close to a week of low 60-degree weather, so it's been beautiful for the most
Mm.
part. Yeah, it's been nice.
And Denver gets a lot. I lived in Denver for a few years and I remember just really enjoying, even if it was cold, like the winter, there was snow on the ground, it seemed like it was sunny. And
Yeah.
if the sun's out, it's just good for the soul, man. I miss that sunshine.
Yeah.
I have to say before we start, so you're married, you've got three kids, right?
Yes, sir.
Man, you posted a video in the Linchpin Facebook group, I think within the last week or two, that I watched it again right before we went live here. And it made me laugh. It's when you're doing the deadlifts and the overhead lunges, and one of your kids is just kicking a soccer ball into
Yeah.
the into the area, just interrupting you, hitting the barbell, making you stop. At one point in time, you heard a little person from off camera say that they had to poop, and you're like, all right, let's go do that. I
Yeah.
laughed and laughed because I could relate to that so much, and it was so just real life. It warmed my heart, just so you know. If it was frustrating for you in the moment, it warmed my heart.
Yeah, same here. I get to see the ones that you post,
Yeah,
and I totally relate, especially because I think your girl is 3.5.
she's three
Our
and a half. Yeah.
youngest is the same age, so he was born just a little bit after your little girl was born.
Okay.
And so when I see her, just kind of, I mean, what else do you do when you've accepted the home gym life? And so, they're there, and you could either uh, just get mad,
Mm-hmm.
or you got to deal with it anyway. So. At least you got the luxury of having most of the stuff that you need at home. And I do enjoy that part of it. And then that's just what you have to live with, which isn't the worst thing in the world.
No, and what's funny is I guess everyone's at a different phase in their life, kids, no kids, or even if you have kids, you're in different levels of acceptance or frustration. Like, everyone just oscillates between those two. But you showed some good patience and grace, during that video. I think some people have had a tough journey of, if their workout gets interrupted, the world has come to an end and it's, life's over and it's this very frustrating, anger-inducing thing. And other people have kind of got a more of a go with the flow deal. Have you had an evolution along that journey, or do you still, have days of highs and days of lows with workouts being interrupted? Oh, I think I got you frozen here. Hmm.
Now, if
Uh-oh.
the video
Oh,
is,
got your
oh,
back. Got your back. Okay, yeah,
okay.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Could you hear me at all?
Yeah, it looked like it was frozen for a bit. So I don't know if things just was starting to freeze up or if I just need to move the mouse, but I don't know if you heard any of my answer.
I couldn't hear your answer, no.
So to answer your question, yeah, I've gone through kind of a mindset shift as far as what I'm capable as an athlete and just kind of the season of your life.
Mm,
And for the most part, it's okay for me to take breaks. So I don't know if that's okay. I feel like it's okay by
100%.
you and most of the community that you've kind of fostered here, but I'll take, especially after this weekend, this last workout that we had on Saturday. I
Mm-hmm.
was so relieved to see that there were plenty of other people that had to take breaks during that dumbbell
Oh my goodness, man.
pull-up. That was that was intense, and I scaled that one like I do most things anyways. But when it comes to, taking a break for the kids, I'm okay by that too.
Yeah. No, I mean, if some people didn't take a break during that dumbbell workout, which was what the power snatch, the chest to bar pull-ups, and the thrusters,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, give that person a medal. I actually had a plan that that went awry because our boys were occupied in sports. I was actually home alone, which was amazing. My wife had my little girl like out at the store, and I thought I had more time than I did. So I went in the garage. I started to warm up, and I was building up towards, I just can't walk out and grab the 50s. They bury me. I gotta warm up to that. So I had my warm up going, and I'm about halfway through my warm up, and the garage door opens, and my wife pulls in with a little girl, and I'm like, oh, I thought I had like another 20 to 25 minutes. You just totally destroyed my plan. And the little girl got out, wife walked into the house, and my little girl was not going to leave. She was going to stay out there with me, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to finish my warm up.
Yeah,
And so I kind of got her settled a little bit, which was like took a few minutes of me now not moving around, and my ego was like still wanting to like grab the 50s, and I think I did, and I did like one or two power snatches, like, oh no, that's not happening. And so I grabbed the 35s because I knew I could go at that moment with the 35s. And man, like we say all the time, like I wasn't shortchanged. That was whatever you want to call it, the scaled weight, the women's weight. But all it did was allow me to move faster and probably take less breaks than I would have with the 50s. And I mean, I was devastated by those 35s. To your point, I think it all shakes out in the end, right? I mean, if you take a big break, well, that just means when you come back, you can bite off a bigger chunk of work again at a faster pace before you need to stop again. So I think we're all good, man.
good. Yeah, that was a tough one, and I like the way that you describe most of your workouts, so we kind of have an idea of what we should be going for. So if it's supposed to be a day that's short and sharp, it's like okay,
Right.
I may try that, but I may not too, and uh, it's just what it is. But yeah, those ones bite pretty hard, and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
sometimes they
But
feel good. Lots of times they don't.
and you're somebody who fitness is actually a part of what you do for a living and how you earn a paycheck. So why don't you tell everybody, what do you do for an occupation in this world?
So a lot of members in Lunchpin, I'm also in law enforcement. I know that you've talked to a few law enforcement and first responders, but yeah, I would agree.
Hmm.
I think that's more of an opinion now, but fitness should be a part of law enforcement if you choose to do this career.
And you shot me some info about your background or whatnot, and I find fascinating time I talk to somebody in law enforcement. We could probably spend an hour talking about these things. I won't put you through that, but I'm curious to talk about jail, being a detective, being SWAT, and then your volunteer youth program. So jail, well, all most of us know about jail is some show that we see on TV, where just everyone's getting shanked in the yard, and there's the lockdown, and so like it's just craziness. What was your role, and what is it actually like? I mean, working in a jail to me as a civilian seems like potentially one of the most stressful, chaotic, be on edge environments out there. But that's me uninitiated. You lived it. What was it like?
So the thing that makes me stressed out and gives me a lot of anxiety is mostly just people. I think you said that people are hard.
Hmm.
It comes both ways. Part of the stress that happens is some of the people that you deal with are um, really difficult to actually communicate with, and you know we have varying degrees of people who are really good at communicating with other people, and then other people that get pretty frustrated with having to deal with people who are kind of in crisis.
Mm.
Well, yeah, that's definitely stressful to always be potentially be right in the midst of. And then I've kind of come full circle in my career with my agency, and so about a year and a half ago, I became a supervisor, and now the other part, back being in the jail, is supervising the teams that I have right now. And I'm sure it's a lot like supervision in any type of career, but sometimes people are hard.
Yes,
And
sir.
a lot of the people who have chosen to make law enforcement their career, they have this specific mindset or tell themselves and tell each other, we're A1 type of personalities and we have a difficult time listening to others, or it's got
Mm.
to be my way. And I don't know if that has to be true, but all of that causes me stress and anxiety most of the time throughout my days. But
Yeah, I can only believe that. Yeah, and hats off to you for for that profession, especially married with kids. I mean, my goodness, that'd be stressful enough as a single, somebody single, not married, let alone having to worry about a family or family's worried about you. And then you spend some time, you said, as a general case detective, which again, most of us don't have much actual insight into what's that like unless we watch, like True Detective with Matthew McConaughey, and we figure that's what it's like. So what is life as the detective? What's the day to day? What kind of cases did you work?
So, our agency has kind of gone through different stages of how they want to handle cases, but generally,
Oh, you're frozen again.
okay.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Okay. So generally, cases are forwarded up to the detective unit from somebody who takes an initial call or witnesses something that happens, and then typically any type of follow-up that needs to happen, or if there's any leads, get forwarded on over to our detective division. And our agency used to have just general case detectives during my time as detectives, but we've kind of moved away from that and we've had specialists as far as these are people who will investigate crimes that are against people or against property or homicides or, you know, motor vehicle
Hmm.
thefts or something like that. But at my time, I kind of had everything kind of thrown at me. Um, and I did that for about 4 years, but um,
How does it feel to solve a case?
uh, when you actually have things kind of clicking, it's kind of remarkable because uh, I have a general philosophy or outlook that most people are good,
Mm-hmm.
but it's interesting, and I'm sure you experienced this as a parent, but when you talk to somebody and you know they're lying to you,
Yeah.
it's fun trying to keep a straight face, but then like you kind of live that TV moment like I got you.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
And I've had a handful of those, and it's hard to um, kind of compartmentalize that for just that's that person.
Mm.
And I generally feel like most people are great. But when you deal with a lot of people who try to do that to you, and I get it, most of the time people are afraid of cops or they're in a situation when they're talking to cops that usually isn't, so great in their
Things aren't
life.
going well.
Right. But when things come together, it feels really good. And it feels really good to actually do the thing that you seek out to do when you become a law enforcement officer, which is essentially you want to help people. And so when you get to help somebody who's a victim and you restore some type of justice to them, it feels really good, actually.
I can only imagine. And you touched on something which is I'm curious, do you don't speak for all cops in general, but how do you deal with the stress that you deal with at work? Or like you said, if on a regular basis you're dealing with people on their worst day, and then maybe significance my insertion into it. So if it's wrong, let me know. But a significant number of people are either lying to you or trying to mislead you or not telling you the entire story or, obfuscating the truth in some way, shape, or form. Like, uh, how do you keep a people are generally good attitude, not get overly cynical, and not let that cynicism just creep into your work and or home life?
Well, I think a lot of things that you can do outside of your work help towards that and having perspective by being a part of communities like your church or
Mm.
for us, uh, even having an online community like Linchpin, but CrossFit has been amazing for that.
Oh,
Um,
good.
one of the best things that I kind of miss about going to a traditional box is having that community and
Sure.
the overwhelming majority of people that you meet are so nice and so inspiring that it kind of offsets for me. It offsets kind of these negative reinforcements that you get about some interactions that you have.
Mm.
Just having that community around you or your family around you, and sometimes it's hard to separate work from your personal life, but um, my family helps me stay grounded and remember that like my little ones need me to be a better person, or I want them to grow up in a specific way, or to avoid going a different route that I see in other people. So,
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think
You
that helps me
you've
personally.
been a cop for, or you've in law enforcement for about 20 years, right?
Yes, sir.
So you were on duty, years ago when, just a small handful of years ago where the general vibe was cops are evil, cops are the enemy, cops are the bad people, etc. And has there been, in your opinion, is that sentiment still out there? Is it a shift back now more towards neutral or positive? Like what's the vibe these days when you interact with your local community?
I think maybe it was right around 2020 or shortly before that, or right around that time period. And I think there was a significant mistrust in law enforcement. And I think it was partly justified. And,
Mm-hmm.
people were seeing things and it was making that trust in law enforcement harder because, footage is available that showed some misdeeds by law enforcement. And that was important, but that was kind of hard to live through.
Oh, I'm sure.
I didn't have to deal with it personally on a personal basis, but it was difficult because you had even friends and family members who would come up to you, or if you're on social media, and I was on social media, you would see things kind of blasted out
Mm,
that kind of insinuated that all law enforcement was a problem. And
yeah, sure.
well, I didn't agree with that. I still don't agree with that. And I think we've kind of come away from that, but there's still some some stuff out there. Mostly, um, I think people who generally have an outlook on life that maybe won't be changed. Maybe it would, but they're pretty set that this is the way that law enforcement is, and um, just like how not all people are negative or most people are great. I try and keep that part into perspective, and you know, you can't change everybody's opinion, but you just try and be the best person that you can be.
I would tend to think that as a law enforcement officer, if you don't have a little spidey senses or a sixth sense, you probably want to develop one, in some way, shape, or form. Because I would think whether it's a traffic stop or walking into someone's home or approaching somebody who's agitated or whatever it is, you're going in to talk about just a gray, unknown situation that could go in any number of directions, and you're trying to, I would assume, read the situation, look around to see the environment. Does this person have friends? What's the vibe and energy that this individual is putting out? Are they belligerent? Are they calm? Like, what's their body language say? I mean, are you the sort of person that that stuff naturally comes to, or have you had to kind of develop that over the course of your career?
Yeah, no, sir. I don't think I had that skill right off the bat because the difference in how I kind of saw um, most people compared to some of the realities I've seen since I've come into law enforcement has kind of opened my perspective that it wasn't as great as I once thought it to be. I mean, I don't think I have a negative view of the world, but I believe it's changed me even just a little
Mm,
bit. And I didn't think that certain things could happen or that people would be so so much of a problem in a certain way, but I've witnessed it, and it has changed my perspective. And so, having gone through some of those things, I've had to learn, sometimes the hard way too. But some of the things that they teach you as far as training and specific scenario-based training, it is to help out those officers when it comes to some real life and death situations and some safety concerns that we need to do to be proactive about our safety and the public safety as well.
mm. Well, all that, maybe this gets to like the volunteer program where you're working with kids that want to go into law enforcement. How is the sentiment out there in the community of people are people wanting to get into law enforcement these days, or is it still largely you guys are hurting for numbers?
I think we're on our way back up. Um, I think we're still struggling, but law enforcement, I think, is doing a shift as far as we need to go out there and we need to recruit a whole lot more than we used to. We would just in the past, we would have applicants that would just apply, and you would see people at testing by the hundreds.
Mm.
And in our area, our pay is actually pretty well, but we don't have near the same numbers as far as applicants as we used to, say about like 15 years ago.
Okay, interesting. And what is that that youth volunteer program, that Explorer program that you mentioned to me? Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's called the Explorer Program, and there are posts all across the country. And so a lot of law enforcement agency have kids who are from the ages of 14 to 20, where they volunteer their time and they get to learn about what police officers and sheriff's deputies do on a routine basis. And they go through competitions all across the country where they go through scenario-based competitions where
Hmm.
we'll give them a scenario like, hey, this is a traffic stop. How would you approach this? And then we judge them according to their safety and their communication and how put together they are when they're going through these interactions. And part of that usually has something to do with physical fitness as well, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that is pretty awesome. Yeah, it's that's cool just to get to interact with the younger generation.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing.
And oh, really? That's cool. The And you said, with regards to CrossFit anyway, that you started checking it out all the way back in 2010. That was a long, 15 years ago. That was quite a while ago. Give me just a little brief journey walk through you first even hearing about CrossFit in 2010 to now, you're working out in your garage at home.
Yeah, I went through my police academy in 2006, and a lot of our fitness was running up in the foothills here in Colorado, and we would do a lot of push-ups, a lot of calisthenics,
Hmm.
and I did okay, but I really didn't know anything besides cardio exercise, specifically running. And so, as I started my law enforcement career, I started working out with a buddy who everyone would just look to him, and he would just be this insane person doing insane things. And he did legitimately just insane weights because he was a former football player, and I am
Okay.
not a former football player. But I just asked him, hey, do you mind if I just kind of tag along with you and you could show me some stuff about, exercising? And he was great. He let me just follow along and I just tried to do whatever he was doing. And he just recommended if you're interested in learning a little bit more, there's this thing out there called CrossFit and just look for a gym. Just go to their website and they do a lot of the same stuff that we're doing right now. And I said, okay, I'll check it out. And so I went on to the main site and I just started looking and found a local box that was real close to where I was living and introduced myself to them. And, I fell in love right away. It's like, yeah, this is hard. And everyone is so nice. And all the things that most people like about CrossFit, I fell in love with.
Hmm.
So I stuck with that gym for about 3 years. And then one of my coworkers who is on the SWAT team with me, he co-owned or started up another gym right in the same area. And he just asked if I would come in and work out with him a couple of times since I already liked it. And so I did. And I had a tough time saying no to, um, any of the communities that I started meeting. And so I started spending both my times at both boxes. And
That's awesome.
everyone's
Doubled
just
up.
great. So I had a great time.
But eventually, uh, dancing on both sides there had to kind of come to an end. What forced your hand to have to step away from both of those?
Mostly it was just shifting my priorities in life, and you know, I met my wife about 10 years ago.
Oh, you froze for a sec there. Let's see if we can get you back. Hold on, everybody. Be patient. We've worked through this before. Let's see if we can get David back here. Oh, gotcha. You're back. You said you met your wife.
Yeah, I met my wife about 10 years ago, and so I just spent a lot more time with her and started spending less time in the gym. And, that was okay, but my fitness definitely took a dip, and I could see the results in like how I felt throughout the day and how I felt at work. And um, um, that's just the way it went, and that was just kind of the season I was at in my life.
And then you
But
said eventually you guys moved a little further away as well.
yeah, yeah, we moved away from where those local gyms were. And so um, one of the things that I had aspirations to do was to actually build a home gym.
It's a great aspiration, by the way.
Yeah. Um, when we finally moved into our current house back in 2019, I was specifically looking for extra space so that I could start that dream. And so I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to find something that had maybe an extra space in the garage, or made sure that if we're going to do something in the basement, that we're going to have concrete floors,
Nice.
enough
You
space
had
over.
your priorities in line.
Yeah. Fortunately, my wife found the right house that all those things could apply, and she's been very supportive so that I could start adding pieces here and there.
And then your family kept growing and your garage gym or home gym kept growing. And
Yeah.
as as responsibilities increase and children increase, free time decreases.
Sometimes I think I'm starting to get a little bit, a little of it back.
Good. Yes. Yes. Yeah. We both got the 3.5-year-old. Yes. It's a wonderful thing when that starts to creep back into your life. So then you said you started poking around the internet and taking some linchpin workouts.
Yeah, I've seen your stuff posted on Instagram quite a bit, and mostly it was I think the Monster Mash workouts.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who I've met since those early days in CrossFit for myself, and we've kind of bounced around to different gyms together. And so I would hit her up. I'm like, "Hey, Juliet, have you seen this workout that is right up your alley?" And so she would say, "Come do it with me." And I would say, "No, thank you."
Right.
And, I did a couple of those, but the other things I would see posted up on Instagram, I always thought, well, that seems okay. And I would do it. And I was like, that was actually pretty tough.
Right.
So
Right.
all the things that you're, you know, advertising for yourself, like it's brutally elegant. I'm like, I think so. It didn't look like it needed to have so many extra things, or you
Mm.
didn't have to spend, more than an hour of your day in order to maintain fitness. And so I was like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
This
I
seems
mean, you
reasonable.
really don't, man. If you've got an hour or less, you can get a lot of work done if you apply yourself.
Yeah.
Like for sure. One of the things you said that I really liked was you said in your little email to me that it's difficult for you at times to follow the schedule perfectly, but you're usually able to get in 3 to 5 workouts per week. I really like that too because I think a lot of people feel this pressure that look, there are 5 workouts each week, and my only two options are I do all 5 or the week is a failure. And that's it. Like it's very binary. And I'm like, no, but like with all the different variables in people's lives, I mean, if you again eat well, try to get some decent sleep, and you attack 3 workouts a week, you can be a beast, like beyond a shadow of a doubt. If you can do 4 or 5, cool. But if the choice is do 3 or do 0, my goodness, do 3. I mean, you're gonna be good. So when you have to make those decisions of it's going to be 3 workouts this week, it's going to be 4, like how do you make the decisions as to which ones you do?
Mostly it's just I have plans to do all five every single week. And then whether or not that actually happens,
Right.
it is. But
Sometimes life interrupts your plans.
yep. So usually I'll plan to do it. If I'm at work, it's hard to get in either before or after work, or for me it is. And so I have at least 1 hour of the day where I could usually sometimes I don't even do a warm up, but I could
Mm-hmm.
definitely get some of these workouts in within the hour and be back to work, and that's fine. Um, the days off, I have pretty much all day to figure it out, but am I spending more time with my family? Do we have something already planned? Are we going to be heading out to meet up with like a play date? Sometimes that takes a backseat, and then if I could get in sometime throughout the day, great. If not, I know I'm going to try and get something in sometime this week. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I want to at least get a heavy day in. I know that we've talked
Smart.
about that on on
Yep.
the podcast, so I want to get the heavy day in sometime there. Um, but really, other than that, I don't really try and pick and choose which ones I'm definitely going to get in. There are certain ones that you post up. I'm like, I really want to get that one in, but it's not
Mm.
trying to do heavy day at a high heart rate, heavy day, and cardio or something. That that sometimes doesn't work out that great for me.
Understood. Yeah. Sometimes you're just following along with where life leads you. And
Yeah,
the
sometimes I just try and catch up.
Yep, that makes sense. And maybe in closing, I really like something you wrote as well. That first of all, you keep talking about you like your physical capability and you take some pride that you can keep up with people half your age. How old are you?
I turned 44 in December.
Okay. Um, you look great. I was going to say you're 35.
Yeah.
You're doing well. I'm 49 myself, and so yeah, it's the 40s have been great. In all honesty, it's amazing. I used to fear the 40s, but man, if you're working out and you're eating well and you're sleeping, like 40's been fantastic, and I don't have any fear as I'm living my life now that I'm about to enter the chapter of my 50s. It might take me a bit longer to warm up. I may have to pay a bit more attention to my like cooling down and stuff, but like I got no fear whatsoever to be quite honest with you. So you mentioned Bar Lake. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so our police academies are 6 months long, and at the end of each academy, just kind of as a tradition for every academy to do something really hard together as a unit. They'll run around Bar Lake, which is up in Brighton, and it's just short of 9 miles. And
Mm,
so
it's a good run.
these kids who are usually anywhere between 21 to about 30 years of age when they're starting out their law enforcement career, lots of them you'll see who has made fitness kind of their lifelong passion, or if the police academy was their first
Right.
step back into fitness. And so, um, me just following along whatever GPP that I'm following along, I could do a 9 mile run and beat most of them. And they are closer to 20 years younger than I am. And
That's pretty awesome.
I do feel pretty proud when I don't have to follow a specific running regimen, but following a GPP schedule, um, just picking off each runner one by one,
Yep.
like it feels pretty good.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's very cool. Well, maybe in closing, your 3.5-year-old boy,
Yes.
what what shows captivate a your son these days? Hold his attention.
Um, we try and limit
God
what
bless you.
he gets to watch, and so he'll watch Peter Pan quite often.
Oh, nice.
He says he likes The Nightmare Before Christmas, but he's
Oh,
never watched it. But he's obsessed with Jack Skellington somehow, and
so's
he's
my
obsessed with
daughter.
Darth Vader and Stormtroopers when he's never really watched Star Wars either. So
That's hysterical. Uh,
yeah,
I don't know where in the world my daughter this thing even crossed her path. Like I have no clue. But one day out of nowhere, she told me she wanted, like within the last month, she said she wanted to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. And I was like, how do you, where did you hear that? And I was like, I don't know if you'll like it, honey. We can try. I don't think you're gonna like it. It's just a bunch of turtles running around doing ninja stuff. Um, and we turn it on, and she just thinks it's the best show in the whole world. It just cracks me up. I've got
yeah,
no idea where she even learned about it. But it's like kids are funny like that. Well, David, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you making time. I appreciate your post in the group, and of course, appreciate what you do for an occupation. So, thanks for sharing your story today.
Yeah, thank you. It was my pleasure.
And I will see you online, my friend.
All right. Bye now.